I'm going to make a Dutch baby for breakfast. Never heard of one? Never had one? Well, I can tell you this, you're in for a treat. What I have here are 2 cast iron skillets to show you. I always make a Dutch baby in a cast iron skillet because it needs to go into the oven. The reason I have 2 sizes is if I wanted to make a smaller Dutch baby, I would use a half recipe and I'd use a number 5 cast iron skillet. This one happens to be a Vintage Lodge. It's a number 5. You'll use any brand you like, just as long as it's about this size. And then if you're going to make a full size, you'll want to use about a 10-inch skillet. This particular one happens to be a BSR, which is another vintage skillet. It's a little bit larger than a 10-inch because that's sort of a BSR. They're a little bit larger than the standard. But any 10-inch, 10 1/4, whatever will work just fine. The ingredients you're going to use is not complicated. Most of this you're probably going to have on hand. We're going to use between 2 to 3 tablespoons of butter, 2 eggs, a half cup all-purpose flour, a half cup of milk, and you're going to want to warm the milk up in the microwave 15 to 20 seconds. If you use cold milk, your Dutch baby is not going to rise properly. And we're going to use a little bit of pure vanilla extract. Now when you get ready to make your Dutch baby, the very first thing you want to do is put your skillet in the oven at 450 degrees for about, I'd say 15 to 20 minutes, closer to 20 because you really want to make that skillet nice and hot. You're going to have to preheat your oven to 450 anyway, so you're really not wasting anything. Then let that go ahead and heat up. When it's about 10 minutes in, then start assembling your ingredients. I've already heated up my milk, so I'm going to put in my half cup milk and my 2 eggs. And I'm going to whisk those together really well to make sure that the wet ingredients get incorporated pretty good. Break up the yolk. It's a little awkward to do this one armed like this, so I'm going to get my other one in. You just want to kind of mix it together. It doesn't need to be real crazy. Then I'm going to put in about 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla. It's about a cup of vanilla. Forgot to mention the salt. 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And your half cup of flour. And all of this is going to get mixed together until it forms a batter. You don't want to over mix your batter. That's the number 1 thing when you're making batter is people tend to mix the living stew out of it. You just want to incorporate the ingredients and get most of the lumps out. A few are okay. So it looks pretty good. And I'm going to leave it right at that. Then I'm going to let my batter rest for a few moments for about maybe the last couple of minutes that my cast iron is preheating. My cast iron is well heated. And I've gotten it out of the oven. And I'm going to use my butter. Woo, I think I got a little much butter. This is about 2.5 tablespoons. I usually use 2 tablespoons, but since this is a little larger pan, I wasn't sure. I think I'm not going to use it all. And you want your butter to really coat everything really well. That right there is about what I'm going to use. You're going to get your batter and pour your batter right in. If you don't hear it sizzle, you haven't heated your pan enough. Sorry for the arms. And then it is going to go right back into a 450 degree oven. And that's going to cook for about 14 minutes or so. Now if I was doing a smaller Dutch oven or a Dutch baby, I'd probably put it on for about 8 to 10 minutes. And we'll let that go. And what's going to happen is this Dutch baby is going to rise. You're going to see the middle rise a bit, and you're going to see the edges start to rise and form a bowl in that cast iron. It happens pretty quickly once it gets started. So if you kind of want to watch the show, you're going to want to watch the Dutch baby do it. Now when you serve a Dutch baby, traditionally it's served with butter and powdered sugar sprinkled on, which is really delicious. But you also can do any kind of topping you like. Sometimes I like to put on some preserves. Here I have some cherry preserves. You could sprinkle on fresh fruit, which is always pretty good with a little bit of honey. You can also make a savory Dutch baby with cheese and mushrooms and bacon sprinkled on. You just want to make sure you don't put anything on your Dutch baby until after it cooks, or it won't rise properly. Time to take it out of the oven. Look at that. And it's going to start to deflate rapidly. It's sort of like a souffle in that respect. Man, smells delicious. Look at that. So you can see the sides have all rose to kind of form a bowl. You sort of have, there it goes deflating, you sort of have these little raised areas. Want to make sure that you have it golden brown in a lot of the areas. Cool thing about a Dutch baby is it's like a fingerprint. No two are going to be alike. I'm going to get that out of the pan. Comes out really easily. There you go. Let's get it over and go ahead and get what we want on it. Oh my goodness, this vanilla Dutch baby smells so good. You can, by the way, omit the vanilla if you don't want a sweet one. If you're doing like a savory one with, like we said, the mushrooms and the bacon and all that, you probably would not want to add the vanilla. You can also add cocoa powder to the batter and make a cocoa Dutch baby. So there I've got some butter on it. I'm getting so excited. I'm gonna sprinkle on powdered sugar. All right, time for a taste test. It smells so good in here. I'm gonna go ahead and get a little bite of this. It's sort of a thinner pancake, so it's not going to be, you know, real thick, as you can kind of see. Oh my goodness. That is so good. So that's how you make a Dutch baby. I hope you guys give it a try. Add some clever ingredients and make it your own.